Hey Puppy Trades, wanted to do a video analysis update of the stay-at-home sector. But first, I got to ask the question about the Andrews Pitchfork today. So we're going to go through a few quick examples of what the Andrews Pitchfork is, why we use it, why it's a really reliable way to find buying opportunities and also find future price targets, okay? So the first example right here is Roku. Okay, so Roku a while back made the same March low as every other stock. And then essentially, a lot of Elliott wave theorists were quick to point out that we had a wave one, which either ended right at this high or this high, and then that led to a ABC correction. And so, whenever you have an ABC correction, so you had a wave one, ABC, wave two, or some kind of a wave one, ABC, wave two. Whenever you have an ABC correction and someone says, hey, this is a wave one, I found a wave two completion, what you can do is you can get your Andrews pitchfork out and you connect the start of wave A with the end of wave C. Okay, so no matter how you counted this, you could have connected a reliable Andrews pitchfork by connecting what you believe to be an ABC correction. And as we can see right here, every time that this pitchfork gets away, it will head back to this pitchfork. So that's how, when I say this is a verified pitchfork, what I'm talking about is that it is proven to show reactions, right? And so we see if you had said, hey, this is a wave one, A, B, C, wave two, I'm going to draw my pitchfork and wait for the median to be reached, you would have caught this entire move. And obviously, hindsight is always 20/20. But the point is, the median of this pitchfork still hasn't been reached, right? So if you were long from right here, said this was an ABC correction, I'm waiting for the median to be reached. There's nothing, magical about this. What we're saying is for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And if you had counted it another way, that's why I think the pitchfork is so cool. As long as you're connecting a major low with a major high and a major low, and you're not, cherry picking your highs and lows, there's going to be multiple valid pitchforks on the chart. And that's another cool thing, right? So let's say you didn't count this as A, B, C, you counted it as A, B, C. And so you were connecting the top of this wave A with the end of this wave C, you still would have had a really nice pitchfork, right? And then boom, the median would have been hit. You'd have taken profits. You would have bought every time that you got away from the pitchfork. And then still, the median hasn't been reached yet again, but we can see that it is constantly acting as a magnet every time price gets away. And then once the median is reached, for this pitchfork, and then eventually for this pitchfork, that's when the Roku bulls are really going to want to get out. Okay, so let's go through a few more examples. This is Macy's, right? So if you're connecting a major low with a major high and a major low, you can get really nice pitchforks with reactions on the lower bound and reactions on the median. And once you see these reactions on the median, these reactions on the lower bound, you can check the volume bars and see, are they declining? Is this confirming that this is all consolidation? You don't have to make your trades based on just one indicator. You can look down and see, like, hey, like, is this consolidation? Because the pitchfork is saying that a huge move is going to come when we get to the median. And of course, for Macy's, you connect this low with this high and this low, you have reaction on the median, you have reaction on the lower bound, and then eventually the pitchfork acts as a magnet. And remember, it's not magic. It's for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's really important that you look at trading, or your job as a trader and a technical analyst, as that of a statistician or a scientist. You don't want to bring any emotion into this, and that's why this seems like voodoo. It's not voodoo. It's very simple physics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, and we can see that when the lower bound of this pitchfork will act as a magnet, then eventually the median is going to be reached. Okay, so let's do another example. This is DraftKings. When you connect this low with this high and this low, we had a lot of Elliott wave theorists who caught this ABC correction. So you go, whenever you have an ABC correction, you connect the major low with the major high and the major low, and then you'll see these reactions on the lower bound. You'll see the reactions on the median, and then you can expect that the median will be reached in the future. And then, of course, once the median is reached in the future, it's often going to act as a magnet for resistance. I don't really like to, play the short side if you're in an uptrend, but, this would have been, a shorting up or, probably I wouldn't go for a shorting op necessarily, but definitely a signal to take profits and get out of longs, right? And now we can see that as the DraftKings gets away from the pitchfork, boom, it's heading right back. It's going to hit the lower bound. It's going to hit the median again, right? So one more example, Twitter. This is a really pretty pitchfork right here. You would have connected this low with this high and this low. If you said this was an ABC correction, right? You have all these reactions on the median, and that's why I say don't necessarily look to short when you get to the median. Better to look to take profits when you get to the median, and then you buy, the dips to the lower bound, the dips away from the lower bound, and you can see as soon as price gets away from this pitchfork, boom, it's heading back, and then Twitter's heading back to the median again. So these two examples right here, they're kind of past examples. This is Facebook. So if you connected this low with this high and this low, you could have called this an expanded flat, ABC, or you could have just said that this was all one real quick correction. Either way, you would have gotten a pitchfork that would have told you, hey, the median's going to be reached, the median's going to be reached. And then if you had called this an expanded flat, still you could have waited for the median to be reached. And as soon as it was, you would have wanted to get out, right? And then so for Facebook, what we're doing right now is we're connecting this high with this low for this ABC correction. And we're seeing a pitchfork right now with nice reactions on the median, nice reaction on the lower bound. And Facebook, just like Apple, is heading to the lower bound of this pitchfork. Eventually, it's going to head to the median of this pitchfork, okay? One more, Novavax. I think this is really a cool chart to be looking at right now because it's in the same kind of sector as Moderna. And I know a lot of times when people first get into trading, they'll say, oh, well, like, Moderna and Novavax are competition. Well, that's not how traders are supposed to think, right? We see, if you're an NVIDIA bull, you're rooting for AMD, right? You're an NVIDIA bull, you see AMD break above the September high, you're really encouraged, just like you were very encouraged when you saw Qualcomm break above the September high. So when two stocks are in the same sector, you're rooting for the rival, because birds of a feather will flock together. So Moderna is already above the high that it made in the summer. So what we're looking for Novavax right now is that this low with this high and this low will show a completed ABC correction, and indeed it does, with declining volume, confirming bullish consolidation. And what we see right now is Novavax is heading to the median of this pitchfork. And so, that's something that we want to ask ourselves as traders, right? How does it affect our analysis if we see that a stock like Novavax, which clearly, we've seen Novavax and Moderna, have really, green days, have good headlines that will cause the market to move higher. And so if we believe that Novavax is heading to the median of this pitchfork, we could, be anticipating in the back of our minds that we're going to have good, vaccine news on the horizon. So we're not like fundamental traders, but if you see that Novavax is going to go up a lot, and you also look at, I can do right now, American Airlines, that we think is going to go up a lot, you can kind of put two and two together, right? It's not necessarily fundamental analysis, but you don't have to be, a wizard to see that if American Airlines is going to the median of this pitchfork and Novavax is going to the median of its pitchfork, there's a good chance we're going to have some positive, vaccine headline news during that time. Okay, so kind of on that note, what I want to do right now is talk about the stay-at-home and software sector. A lot of these stocks are stocks that we've already reviewed. We're also going to, talk about how we're going to implement the pitchfork, but we're just going to go in, real quick. We believe that Zoom was an ABC correction from this high. And so we have this declining volume confirming bullish consolidation. We have our completed ABC correction, and we've identified our pitchfork. So the last time we talked about Zoom, we were saying that as long as it was above 375, 380, it was expected to go reach the median of this pitchfork. And if you look right now, it seems that Zoom is simply just going back to the median of this pitchfork. So we would have an ABC 1, 2, and then what we want to see is the lower bound of this pitchfork continue to act as a magnet. We don't ever want to see this low of 375 broken, and we are expecting that Zoom is going to go to the median of this pitchfork. So like we talked about, the way we're going to get our price target is by taking the length of this move and time and price, which is about 2.5 months, and placing it at this low. So that was going to take Zoom as long as 375 held as the low to the median of this pitchfork. and we actually have this pitchfork outlined. But regardless, we're expecting the median of this pitchfork to be reached, and that Zoom will go to its equal legs target of around 722, 723 in 2.5 months. So we are still expecting Zoom to reach 720 by the end of January. We're going to look at Salesforce right now. The reason we're talking about Salesforce, I already talked about it. We expected that this selling climax right here was going to be our key for the bottom. We actually had one, much larger selling climax. This is a massive, climactic selling candle. So it looks like Salesforce completed an Elliott wave. We would call this an A, B, C correction. And then wave C, a lot of times you're going to see a gap will be an identifier of wave C. And the reason we're looking for an ABC correction is because Zoom broke out to an all-time, not Zoom, Salesforce broke out to an all-time high. It went above its all-time high, so that confirms that this is an impulse wave, right? So if you have an impulse wave, it's going to be followed by a corrective wave. That's why we were looking for, we thought that this was going to be the end of wave C. It looks like this is going to be, our selling climax, this massive selling spike here. So what you're going to want to do is take the low of this candle of 215, as your stop loss, and you're going to target the median of this pitchfork. This pitchfork has pretty nice reactions on the median, and you're not ever going to want to see, or want to see, this low of 215 broken, and we're going to want to see the lower bound of this pitchfork act as support, as well, and then eventually the median of this pitchfork would be reached. So our target is still going to be moved back a little bit, but we are still bullish Zoom calling for a completion of an ABC correction from this high. So what we are expecting is that Salesforce is going to go to 316, and our time target for that is taking 716 and 92. So that's a 6-week time period. So we're expecting 6 to 8 weeks from now. Let's call it 2 months. At the end of January, Salesforce is going to be at 316. Now we're going to move on to Peloton. This is very similar to Zoom. Now what we can see is, when I talk about having multiple pitchforks be valid, that's because there are multiple, important lows, right? A pitchfork, you need to connect a major low with a major high and a major low. So, on some charts, you're going to have, multiple major lows, right? This is definitely a major low, but this is also, a major low. And we have really nice reactions on the median of this pitchfork. And so what we're going to expect is that the median of this pitchfork will be reached. We're also going to expect right now that the median of this pitchfork, we can see these really nice reactions on the lower bound of this pitchfork, this declining volume confirming bullish consolidation. And from a wave theory perspective, we're expecting the same thing as Zoom, where this is an ABC correction. And we're kind of going to be trading Zoom and Peloton together because they're very much stay-at-home plays, and these charts look very similar. ABC correction, valid pitchfork with reactions on the lower bound. ABC correction, a valid pitchfork with reactions on the lower bound. So we're expecting Peloton to go to its equal legs target of 169, and this move is from 813 to 1016, 1015. So that's about 2 months. So 2 months from now, late January, possibly early February, we're going to see Peloton around 169. So we put our Peloton and Zoom analysis together. That's going to be really important to realize that we are, from a technical standpoint, getting bullish stay at home and, software stocks at a time where retail is going to be thinking, oh, well, Novavax, Moderna, and Pfizer had, this really positive vaccine news. So that's just another example about how when we're, as some would say, trading the trader, you're using the psychology of the average trader and, applying it also to your technicals and saying that if we're expecting an ABC correction in Peloton, and we're also expecting an ABC correction to complete at Zoom, then it also makes sense that retail right now is getting very bearish, Zoom and Peloton, because they anticipate vaccine news. So the last stock that we're going to look at is Alibaba. So Alibaba, real quick, I just want to talk about the pitchforks that we had established. So no matter how you count this from a wave perspective, it could be an ABC correction, or it can be an ABC correction. Either way, you have a really valid pitchfork. We'll use this pitchfork for now because it's got really nice reaction on this median line. This median line has proven to act as a magnet in the future. And what we're going to expect is that this is a completed ABC correction in Alibaba. And then Alibaba is going to head to the median of this pitchfork and make a new all-time high by the end of January, mid January, possibly the end of the year.